You are listening to Freshly Squeezed.
It's been up and down for varying reasons. It's not quite gone how we hoped, but get back on the bandwagon, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, we go again.
Welcome to Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast. This is your indispensable guide to new music. If you're the type of person with an insatiable desire to find the best new bands making the freshest new sounds, you're in the right place. I'm Jim, and as always, I've spent the last week not only listening to a bin load of new tunes, literally hundreds, but also I've spent some time tracking down the people who make those tunes and dragging them onto this here podcast. 3 lined up for today, and they are all bloody ace. That's why you should listen, and that's why you need to hit that follow button in your podcast app of choice to make sure you get the next episode as soon as it's ready, and you're always on the cutting edge of new music, right on the edge. So, there's a bit of Manchester swagger about this week's podcast. First up, we're going to be talking to Stanleys. They're a Wigan band, and they're a big hitter on the music scene in Greater Manchester. For some time now, they've been of that status. Well, they're back after a brief hiatus with a brand new tune. It's called Pass the Time. They are ready to take a bit of a step up, that lot, I reckon. Also, we're going to be chatting to a band that aren't from Manchester, but they have the city's music running through their veins. White Star Line. And finally, with both feet planted firmly in Mancunia, we're going to chat to Televised, who are dead fresh out the box. Only 7 months since they released their first tune, they're now focusing on single number 3. That's called Solve Me. So let's get stuck into it. First up, as promised, Stanleys. Back after a break with a bit of a new sound. Going to chat to Tom in a bit, but first a taste of that new sound. This is Stanley's Pass the Time on Freshly Squeezed.
Rolling over hills and far away, you stay just out of bay, but I'll admit you're friendly and that's okay. Oh, the pendulum will swing again, my friend, it always does. That's the only way, I'm afraid, but ain't it such a rush? When I was young, no one could catch me. You never could find what you never could see. The higher I climb, the higher I soar. The apple don't fall so far from the tree. Rolling through my mind.
That's Stanley's new tune. They're back, and they're back on the podcast as well. Tom, welcome back to the podcast. Last time we spoke, it was in May last year, and at the time, you're actually on tour at the time. You were somewhere in the UK, I forget where, but you were playing your biggest ever venues, new parts of the UK as well. How did the rest of that tour pan out? Did it go well?
Oh, it was amazing. Like a big stepping stone for us, kind of reaching out to places that we'd not been before and hitting some ones that we've been to, but not as much as we'd like. So yeah, it was lovely. The reception again, we can't thank the fans enough. Like it's mental to think it's so far away from our hometown that people are listening and coming to our shows. So yeah.
I was going to say, that must be a kind of real wake-up call for where you are as a band, because you're used to having gigs on your doorstep that are kind of full because you're always going to have a portion of your mates there and your family and the fan base you've built in your hometown. But when you kind of step outside that, you kind of go, wow, this is a big collection of people that are connecting to our music.
Absolutely, yeah. And you're right, like our gigs, hometown gigs, there's so many friends and it's amazing to see. But yeah, just to see, I mean, social media these days and the reach is amazing, but it doesn't feel real until you go to the venues and you experience it firsthand. Really humbling and amazing to see where it's reached.
What's the first thing you do when you get back off a tour like that? So you've walked in your front door, got in your house, thrown your keys on the table, and then what?
Sleep. Yeah, sleep for a couple of days. No, just decompress, really. See the people that are close to us that we haven't seen for a while, like family, friends, partners, and just have a little moment reflecting. I think it's hard to kind of let everything sink in until you're back, really. You're on the kind of the highs of it all. So yeah, it's a good time to sit back and go, wow, those gigs were amazing, and this happened at such a venue, and like all of that kind of stuff that you almost don't take in in the moment.
Given that at that point you were kind of riding a bit of a wave, was there always a plan to take a break? Because here we are 8 months on from that period and we're just getting the first bit of new music. Was that always the idea, to kind of tour, take a break and then go again?
It wasn't like a planned thing. We didn't like set it out saying after this tour we will do. But I think it was a number of things that contributed. For instance, the Richard Ashcroft gig in Wigan and then playing Glastonbury. Those were like pinnacle moments that we couldn't have even like fathomed, such big events that we were invited to and played at. And so, I mean, we never thought we'd get to Glastonbury, but just to like play those gigs, it was like, yeah, we've now in a position where we can sit back and we can go, what do we want for the next couple of years and how do we want that to look? And a bit of it was, we decided we wanted a bit of a fresh sound, a new sound, and a new direction for the music, which takes time to get together and write and materialize, really. But yeah, I think it was really, really nice. I think I said it the other day to the lads, really. It was like, you know, when you sat doing a jigsaw puzzle, not that I do that often, but and you can't figure out the pieces, and then you go and take a walk for 10 minutes and come back and you go, right, I know how to do it now. It feels like that's happened for us over the last couple of months. We needed a break in terms of just our lives and other career paths that we were pursuing as well. And yeah, I feel like the music's benefited.
I wanted to talk about the musical shift that you got with the new tune, Past the Time, because when you listen to it, I think it sounds like Stanleys, but also there is a slight change to it, a slight development. How do you sum up what has changed between what you were doing before and what you're doing now?
Definitely. It is it's something that we keep to our sounds and we know what we sound like as a band, but we discussed the idea that we play a lot of gigs and the actual live performance, we wanted to just put some energy into that and get some songs written that were, you know, songs that people can jump up and down to and a bit more in your face is a good way of putting it. So yeah, we basically sat down and we tried to write songs. It was a really interesting writing session for the Past the Time song because me and Harry got together and he had this bass line. He just looped the bass line and I was like, that's it, that is the song. Like, and so I wrote a melody to it, then we showed Jake and Rob and it like organically came together really quickly. And just kind of a new direction of how we write. We normally go with chord progression and work from there, but this was completely different and more, yeah, it was more focused on the energy of the song and the driving nature of the bass line that just really, like, we all were like, this is cool, this is in your face, but it's still got our kind of sound to it, which is great.
The bass line is one thing. The other standout part of the song, I think, is just for the 2 minute mark. There's like this real gear shift in terms of tempo. Who gets the credit for that?
Well, we're so pernickety about tempos. I don't know why, but BPMs, and we do sit, once we've wrote the song, we've got it in a rough ballpark, and then we sit with it and we push it by 1 BPM and see how that sounds. And then if it sounds okay, we push it by another 1 BPM and keep doing that until we get to a point where we're like, right, that's too fast now. And then we do that the opposite way, slowing it down until we get to a point where we're like, that's definitely too slow. And then we kind of mix and match and find the right tempo for it. So it's a collective as a band. We all sit together and just using click timers, play the song slow and fast and find where it fits. But yeah, I think when we originally wrote it, it was a bit slower than what it is for the track, which is nice because in the build up to this song being released, we've created a few different versions of the song, like acoustic wise, just to kind of help with the advertising of the song. And one of them is like a really slow kind of westerny version of the song,
right?
Boy version. which is cool. And we probably wouldn't have ever tried to do that with the song if we didn't do the whole slowing down the BPM process and finding out that it does sound cool there. It's just not what we want the song to be. So yeah, I recommend to any bands out there, try that with your songs, because you get to see different sides of it.
You've already mentioned a few of the kind of big hits you've had over the last few years, Glastonbury, supporting Richard Ashcroft, Libertines and Spiral Carpets, Lathams. You could add to that list as well. If you had to pick one, would you have a highlight from that bunch or something else?
Do you know what? I think I'll say two. The Richard Ashcroft gig was just like monumental for us. I mean, I did sports day and cross country at Robin Park from my high school. So to be able to play there and see the magnitude of these gigs that had come to our hometown and we were part of it was just like ridiculous. It was a moment of real pinch yourself. So that will always be up there with the best things I've ever done. But I think we toured with Spiral Carpets twice over the last couple of years, and the kind of connection we got with the band now and the friendships we've made, as like especially the very last date on the last tour. I can't remember the venue now, but it was in Yorkshire somewhere. And we did our sound check, and then the Inspire lads invited us to a barbecue because there was like an open bit to the green room. It was a quite cool venue, and we all sat and had a barbecue and just chatted about music, and it was just one of those moments where again you just like I'm sat around with the Inspiral Carpets having a barbecue. This is ridiculous. So yeah, they are like without a doubt the nicest band we've ever come across. Just phenomenal lads.
Some of the world's good people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, well, that's your highlight from the past. If you were going to top it this year, how would you do that in 2026?
A good question. I think mainly from our focus this year, supports are unbelievably amazing, but we want to really focus on ourselves this year, be a bit selfish. And so our headline tour, hopefully towards the end of the year, it's not kind of finalised yet, but we're making plans, and we've got a lot of cities that we want to go to, and that for me is the main drive and the main focus. We just, when we kind of was silent on socials for ages and then refreshed our socials and we put the first post up saying, you know, we're going to be back this year, and the amount of comments from like far and wide, just people that were excited about it, and you know, I feel like we owe it to them to get around to see every single person, no matter where they're from or where they're commenting from. You know, we wanted to reach out and play for them. So that for me is a focus, but a gig at Wembley would be nice as well.
Yeah, just a little gig at Wembley. Good luck with the new sound. Looking forward to seeing what's coming later this year as well. We're going to get the brand new tune on Freshly Squeezed, but cheers for coming on.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
When I was young, no one could catch me. You never could find what you never could see. The higher I climbed, the higher I saw. The apple don't fall so far from that tree. When I was young, no one could catch me. You never could find what you never could see. The higher I climbed, the higher I saw. The apple don't fall so far from that tree.
I'm a big fan of that from Stanleys. It does feel like the boys are ready to step it up in 2026 and take on the next stage of what they're doing. Bigger songs, bigger venues, bigger fezzies. Watch this space. If you like that, you're going to like White Star Line as well. A new tune coming up from them in 5. But first, let's have a chat with frontman Tolly Tams. How you doing, Tolly?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. Good name. Is it a real name? It sounds like it should be from like some kind of 1970s glam rock band, Tolly Tams.
Yeah, that's my nickname, Tolly. My
Okay.
actual name's even worse, Ptolemy. So
Okay, that's pretty cool though.
Tolly's easier.
Very good. I like it. So you can hear from your accent instantly. You're not born and bred in Manchester, but you're making music in this city at the moment. And you say that the music that you're making is kind of steeped in Manchester music legacy. Where specifically are you pulling your influences from? Is there an era? Is there a specific band? Is it the city as a whole?
It's just the whole sort of Manchester scene, really. All them sort of bands, late 80s, 90s, Oasis, Stone Roses, anything like that, really.
None of the band are from Manchester originally, I believe, are you? You've all been drawn
No,
in.
so there's me and my brother. We're from Walsall originally.
Mm.
And then the guitarist is from Hull, and Jack, the drummer, is from Stafford. I think it's just sort of getting to about 14, 15. That's sort of what me and Jack really got into. Obviously, our dads were all into that sort of stuff, and just sort of from there, really. Before that, I was very much into the Beatles and all that sort of stuff, and then that was just sort of the next thing, I suppose, really.
Was that part of the story that drew you all to the city independently? Was the music scene always a consideration?
Yeah, it was the biggest factor for me. So I'm a student nurse, actually. So I'm doing my training in Manchester, but I wanted to be in that city. I wanted to do the nursing, and then, I'm there for the music, really. It's got a great scene and everything else. Really, vibrant city where we wanted to be.
In terms of being a student nurse, that's a fairly heavy job, I imagine. I imagine there's a lot of stories, a lot of people, a fairly emotionally charged career to go into.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Does that become an inspiration for your songwriting?
I don't know. It's not really been so far. My music's more personal than that, I would say. You don't really draw from other people as such, but it probably does happen a little bit. Not thinking about it, you're putting stuff into your music and you're thinking about other people's stories and stuff like that. But I'd say it's more personal for me than something other than my nursing, if that makes sense.
We spoke to Pina Palau recently, Swiss artist, on the podcast, and she talked about she's a trained psychiatrist and she's recently gone back into psychiatric nursing, and she was saying that, do you know what, fundamentally these are similar things. It's listening to people and it's telling their stories. So I guess there's kind of some element of that in there. The more you understand people, the more you can connect with them.
Yeah, it must creep in subconsciously. Yeah, it's not something I really think about too much, but I suppose it must do subconsciously.
So let's talk about the brand new tune. Called Hold On. It's your second single, so the first single came out in 2025. You've said of this that it's a more mature sound to your first one, even though it wasn't that long ago in terms of release timelines. Was there a bit more space between the writing and recording of the two tunes?
Yeah, so I actually wrote Hold On before Leaving for the Summer, but we took it into the studio with, I don't know if you know Gavin Monaghan.
Yeah, A Magic Garden.
That's it, yeah. It's a lot more gritty, fuller sound. Yeah, and I think it's more our style, really, I would say, than Leaving for the Summer.
In terms of working with Gavin, obviously he has a heritage of working with kind of up-and-coming bands, bringing them through. What did he add to that recording process as you were laying it down?
He's so, you can take anything to him and he'll really get the best out of you. Even like we had a bass line, he said we need something a bit more, with a bit more movement, and he's putting all these ideas in your head and he really gets, working and everything. In terms of his production, he just gets, such big sounds, all the big guitars and everything else, really gritty, really raw. So it really adds to the songs and stuff.
There's another Northwest reference in the band in that White Star Line. For those who don't know, it was the shipping company that ran the Titanic. Looking at that story, what is the metaphorical iceberg that could be in the band's future? What is the one thing that could sink the project before it started that you need to avoid as a band going forward?
Oh, I'd say the biggest thing would just be, obviously, when we finish uni, it's having that time and everything, isn't it, to be able to work on your music, and then you've got the pressures of your job and your career and trying to make money and survive and everything else. Because obviously there's not that much money at this stage of, like, in our music careers. We're not making much money or anything like that. That's probably the biggest.
No private jets yet.
No, not just yet. Not yet.
Tolly, well, hopefully you get to that point and you get to that stage, because you've made a really promising start at White Star Line. Pleasure to speak to you. Pleasure to hear the new music as well, but thank you so much for your time on Freshly Squeezed.
Thank you very much.
White Star Line, Hold On Freshly Squeezed, brand new from them. And if you want to check out more from that band, there's not a load to go out. There's 3 singles, but you can find the link to that in the podcast description, along with a link to the weekly Freshly Squeezed playlist if you've not listened to that before. Each week I pick 10 songs that I'm into that week. So you've always got something fresh to listen to. Updates every Friday, and each week it also features the bands that are on the podcast each week. So this week it's going to feature the bands you've heard, Stanleys, White Star Line, and Televised, who are up next. And it's Sam from the band joining me from Televised. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you for having me. Hello, how are we doing?
I'm good, Tar. So, third single, Solve Me, in the world now, but it was only back in May that you released your debut song. So what's your first 7 months as a published band been like? Has it lived up to your expectations?
It's been up and down, I would say.
Okay.
Because like you said, the first one come out West, that's done well. That's done how we expected to. The second one, not quite, for varying reasons as to why it's not quite gone how we hoped. But, get back on the bandwagon, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, we go again, and release a third one.
When you release a song into the world as a new band, is there a part of your brain, as unrealistic as you know it is, but there's a part of your brain going, an A&R person's going to hear this, they're going to slap a 5-album deal down on the table, and next week we'll be playing the Super Bowl alongside Taylor Swift. Is there something in your head that's kind of telling you that's what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think if anyone says there's not that small voice in the back of your head, this is the one, it's going to blow up. One TikTok, that's all it takes, one video, and you've made it. But that's when you sort of got to be like, yeah, it's probably not going to be one song, bang, off you go. It takes a lot more than that. But yeah, it's certainly somewhere.
As you say, it was a decent start with the first single, 10,000 streams on Spotify. How weird was it to see that number kind of creeping up from 1 to 10 to 100? And did you set a target as to where you wanted that to be in the start?
We did. So when we first released it, we were like, right, by the end of 2025, we want to get 10K. And we got that on, I think it was the 30th of December. It was like, yes, we did it. We got to Christmas. We're a bit away. And I was like, and I posted on the social medias like, oh, go on, give us a hand. Maybe we can get it before Christmas. Didn't. But a few days later, we got it. I was like, yes, nice one.
Nice. Well, hopefully you can hit those heights again with the new single Solve Me. Before we play it, when people listen to it, they're going to hear it and they'll go, well, this isn't music that sounds like it's in the Manchester mould. I think musically it's a bit heavier than what you'd say from the traditional Mancunian indie acts, but then it's not kind of as dark as Joy Division and that side of the sound. Did you want to do something as a band that didn't feel like it was part of the Manchester heritage, that wanted to break that mould, or was it just purely a result of the musical influences that you guys had as a group?
I think it's a bit about, like, we did have the conversations, like with this song especially. We wanted to lean more into like reviving grunge sort of scene in the terms of sound. You hear a lot of bands now like Bleach 93, Keo, Wonder Horse, that sort of stuff that are doing really well. And we're massive fans of all of that. It's like, we'll lean more into that side of things when it comes to recording it. The song was written a long time ago, before we were even a band. And the Manchester scene is, like you say, it's a lot lighter, and it's a lot of talking about the weather. There's not a whole lot of that with this song. And I think it's because we're based in Manchester, but I don't think we really classify into that typical Manchester sound. There's not a big take of things from like Oasis and the Smiths and stuff like that. A lot of our influences are heavier than that. Right,
I'm going to be honest with you now, Sam. We're speaking on a late Friday afternoon. Pretty much everyone has checked out for the week already, and I've half checked out as well. So instead of doing real work for this interview, I thought I'd employ the help of the freshly squeezed AI supercomputer, Mangoes.
Hello, Sam.
I've asked him to come up with 100 questions for you.
Okay.
And which of those questions you get to answer is completely up to you. You get to pick. I need 3 random numbers between 1 and 100, and they'll be the next 3 questions that you answer. So where do you want to start? What number are we going with first?
We'll go with number 14, lucky number 14.
Here is question 14. What is the pettiest argument you've had as a band?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, 3 of us live together, so there's quite a lot of...
Oh,
his jacket's there again. Oh, he's still got his clothes out. Oh, he's not done this. There's quite a bit of that gets passed around.
is a non-washed up plate likely to be the thing the band split up over? Did you know, like, Dave Grohl, this is a great story. I've got a distraction here, but Dave Grohl used to live with Kurt Cobain, and Nirvana almost split up before they were Nirvana because Kurt Cobain never cleaned out his turtle tank. He had a pet turtle, didn't clean it out, it stunk, and Dave Grohl almost walked out of the flat and left Kurt behind because of that reason. So could it be a plate that derails?
Yeah, I think it's more likely to be that than anything else, to be honest.
Right, so let's have another question. Where are you going?
We'll go to number 35.
35. If Televised were going to cover a classic TV theme tune at your next gig, what would it be?
Personally, I don't know about the others, I'd do the American Office one. Just like a little interlude, and we'll do that just in the middle of a song.
Nice, I like that. That's a good choice. Final question. What number do you want to go for?
We'll go with 100.
100. Do your songs begin with lyrics or riffs or messing about in the studio?
So when it comes to writing songs, a lot of it is like I write all the lyrics and stuff, and I'll make up a demo in my bedroom and take it to the band like, right, what do you think this is the idea for the song? Everything that we write and have as songs, it's all like real world experiences, I think is the polished answer. It's all things that now I've experienced. It's all true stories and all that, mildly embellished in parts. It all starts with, oh, this thing's happened. Right, I'll keep that for later. I'm experiencing this. I'll remember that, and then turning it into something later down the line.
If that's how stuff's starting, if it's starting with kind of you in your room kind of creating, when you take it to the boys, when you take it into the studio, how much is their part already formulated in your head? How much is it, I want the drums to sound like this or whatever it is?
I think, so in terms of drum-wise, because obviously I play rhythm guitar, a lot of the stuff we do is intertwined. The least amount of wiggle room in terms of what he does, but he does still add his own spin on things. You know, he listens to like pop punk and a lot heavier stuff. So he brings in more of the heavier stuff. Bassist and guitarist, Harry and Bradley, they get free reign pretty much. Because I'm also a drummer. Like naturally, like I started playing drums when I was like 3.
Right. Okay.
So a lot of the things I write have the drums in mind. Whereas guitar and bass, I'm not very good at either.
Sam, lovely to meet you. Really enjoying the music of Televised. I had a couple of your songs on my radar to date, but I think this is my favourite. So like I say, hope it smashes the others out of the park and you get the success you had with the first single. Great to have you on Freshly Squeezed. We're going to play the new tune. Cheers for coming on.
Thank you very much.
While I come unstuck to the space of my shoes. Save me with a promise, would you keep me held in your heart or with the liquid on your cheek? And I want you to stay, don't let me go to waste. Will you wait for me? Bring me to my knees, sit there in my sleep, and I keep trying to hate you, but you take my mind. You cut my teeth, 'cause you're all I see. When I think I need you, you fill in the blank.
Finishing off this episode of Freshly Squeezed, that cool new tune from Televised. And it's good to speak to Sam as well. Refreshing honesty, I thought, saying it had been up and down for the band so far. You don't often hear that from bands, them talking about the bad times. It's always, yeah, it's great with the next big thing, but we need more of that. We need more honesty and realism in the industry. Nice one, Sam. Let's hope that the new tune is very much part of the upside of the career. Well, there we go. We're done. Nice. Back next week with 3 more bits of brand new music on Freshly Squeezed. Between now and then, plenty of time to check out the bands that are featured on this week's podcast via the links in the podcast description. So you go and do that, and I will get next week's show ready. Cheers for your ears. See you next time.
The award-winning Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast, was devised, produced and hosted by Jim Salveson. Sound design and additional production by Ant McKinley. Theme music, Blue Blazer, is written and produced by Spin Class. Stop. I'll never let go. Paint me like one of your French girls.